So from one career expert to another, Bloomberg spoke to a millennial career advisor who said millennials are headed for a fall. According to her, while millennials are extremely passionate about finding the right job for them, they aren't exactly ready for the harshness of the road ahead. Julia, you think this is true?
I don't think that's necessarily true. I don't think, 18, 19, 20-year-old is going to know everything about the world, because that's just wrong, because we don't even know about everything in the world, even though we're a little bit older than 19. But I think it's fascinating. It's great to have different interests. It's okay, like, David just said, hey, I don't like this. I tried this for a week and this is not right for me. I'm just going to hop on to the next thing. So I don't necessarily think so.
I find myself getting mad sometimes. I was mad this morning because I got bumped off a very famous network that I was supposed to be on this afternoon.
So shall not be named on this show. Yeah?
Shall not be named. So I feel like sometimes our generation has a little bit more trouble with rejection than previous generations, but I also think it's just hard for everyone.
Yeah, it's just hard for everybody.
Yeah, I think it's just being human. So you don't think people are being lulled into a false sense of security?
Well, a false sense of security, I wouldn't call it a false sense of security. I think it's just people, are so busy with everything that's going on, so maybe they haven't thought about it, because if you're at a place mentally, if you're going for the security, that means you're really afraid. That means you're really thinking about the worst case scenario. And when you're 20, 21 going on to 22 into your first job, I don't necessarily think that's the thing you should be focusing on. I think you should think about your potentials. What can I do? What could happen? And think positively, not, oh my God, what's the worst scenario? And how do I just hedge everything while I'm still so young and can make all the mistakes, which, by the way, I don't think they're mistakes anyway, they're experiences.
Nice way of looking at things, Julia.
All right, and unlike the two of us, our next guest is an actual expert from the major career website Monster. Let's welcome Vicki Salemi. How are you? Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Always great. So let's talk about your graduation survey. It says 59% of graduates expect to find a job in less than 1 to 2 months after graduating. Vicki, you think people are overly optimistic about the job market?
I think it's great they're optimistic about the job market. I'm a former corporate recruiter, so what I always tell candidates, especially college grads, is try not to think about the timing. 1 to 2 months, anything longer, anything shorter. Just focus on what you can do to get that job.
Okay, and then Vicki, while I have you, I want to ask for your opinion. How much time a day do you think a young person should spend on job searching every, like 5, 8? Should it be like a full-time job?
Looking for jobs should be top of mind, but at Monster, we don't believe that it should be a 24/7 endeavor. So for instance, what you can do is you can set up job alerts on Monster, which means emails will be sent to your inbox with opportunities, and it's free. And this way you can check your phone and you get reminders of, okay, well, here's this job, I'm going to apply to it today. So this way you can live your life. Let's say you have a summer job or you're enjoying beach time or traveling. So it's still top of mind, but I wouldn't say that you need to start looking 12 hours a day per se.
So, is networking a part of this too? Because we have online tools like Monster, right? But what about real life relationships? And how do you leverage the online world into IRL in real life?
Yes, yeah. I'm so glad you asked that, David. I have a very, very many different facets to that. First of all, it's important to always have the offline skills sharp. So that means networking, your personal brand, especially in the summer. There might be social opportunities, so have a business card ready that's personalized with your name, your email address, cell phone number, and have that elevator pitch ready. But you really need to have that elevator pitch ready anyway. So when you do have that interview, your soft skills are sharp. And it's important also to have your online profile match your offline. So let's say your resume should have your work experience, your skill set, everything that coincides. Let's say if you're a graphics designer and you have an Instagram account, your Instagram account should look professional and it should showcase your work.
Yep.
So your graduation survey also showed that while young people are optimistic, they're also relying increasingly on side gigs. Yeah. Has the whole side hustle world of side hustles, has that changed the job market and the way young people look for jobs?
I'm glad you asked that, because it's very interesting, because the majority of them do have side hustles, and actually 1/3 of them in our Monster graduation survey said they want to keep that once they get a full-time job.
Why would you leave money on the table?
Yeah, but I say that with an asterisk in terms of, if you do that, make sure that your side hustle, that you can fit in your side, make sure your full-time job is your priority. And right now, make sure your job search doesn't get sidelined by the side hustle. So if you can do both, and why would you give it up? Yeah, absolutely. If you can keep it, then keep everything separate. So your work time with your full-time job and your equipment let's say your laptop and your work cell phone, everything should be specific for your full-time job, and your side hustle should be
Don't commingle, huh?
Don't commingle, no.
In that case, for a 20-something years old, would you suggest him or her to keep the side hustle on his or her resume or not?
Absolutely, because chances are you're going to have some marketable skills. So if we talk about the resume for a minute, it's really interesting because even if you think, well, it's a side hustle and I'm weaving or doing whatever, that maybe there's not skills, but you are. There's customer service, there's time management involved, and you could definitely include that on your resume in terms of your experience.
I mean, how is that looked upon from, from the employer's
Yeah, the
perspective?
powers that be.
Because for example, David and I, we go on different networks. I host 4 different shows, like at different
we
places.
have like a million jobs.
That's
No one
just
can
because
keep
the
up.
nature of television hosting is we host everywhere, and I really like it. But say, for example, I'm going in to, I mean, let's just take my, my first job. I was in, I was in tech. So it's like if I'm, coding, that's my full-time job, but I'm also doing pizza delivery, let's say, on the side. Does that come across as unfocused?
No, but I see what you're saying, and I have a few different takes on that. Number one, if let's say your experience and you had a job in tech, and if you're doing pizza delivery on the side, I would use your judgment because you may not necessarily need to have that. If you're a college grad and you don't, let's say you have a couple of internships and you're looking to fill space on your resume, then it's a good idea. For instance, Monster has a resume service where you can upload your resume for free and get professional feedback. And based on your skills and your experience level, you may want that feedback to say, well, you know what, maybe based on your years of experience in this one field, this may look like you're all over the place. But the other side is we live in a day and age where it is possible to be multitasking, and you can use that to your benefit during a job interview, saying that you are multitasking and you develop these 3 skill sets, which provide you with they equip you with the ability to do the job that you're pursuing. So I think it's a matter of the type of role that you're pursuing. And also, as a former corporate recruiter, I never wanted to see someone just sitting around doing nothing, especially if, let's say, they were unemployed. I wanted to see maybe they were taking a class, maybe they traveled, they did something. Right. So if you had that side hustle on your resume and you could say, well, I did this and that and the other thing, and then and what did you learn from it? And then you can leverage that during an interview to pivot into, well, here's why I can do this job.
So tell us, give us some advice. How do we get the job?
Yeah.
Several things. First of all, you need a resume and that's pristine. So sounds basic, but that's your calling card. That's your entrance way into the organization. Number 2 is network. And most importantly is apply to jobs online. When you see them, for instance, the job alerts land in your inbox, apply that day. Don't assume they're going to be there. And another thing I want to mention with getting noticed. So when you apply, you want to make sure that your resume gets noticed by the company. So you can do something called keywords to match the keywords of the job description.
Because software's reading the resume, correct?
Right. And when your resume gets uploaded to the system, on the other side, an employer is reading it. That job is technically tied to the job that you're pursuing. However, your resume is in the database for any recruiter or any person in that company to have access to. So they could do a search by keyword. If they know a job is becoming available, that's not officially publicly posted yet.
Wow, so it could stay there for future use as well.
Right.
And you never know when that will pop back up.
I want to ask you a follow up on that, if I may, is because a lot of people, when they graduate from college, come on, it's just the reality that we all need a job. You need to pay your student debt, which is a really big problem right now. You just need a paycheck, right? So there are a big portion, significant majority of the youth population, like, we just want a job sometimes. We were like, just give me anything, I don't really care. Of course, when you go to an interview, you're like, oh, I like this, I like that, I want to do this. But really, a lot of people are at the point, just please give me a job. So when you craft your resume, sure, you might be inclined to say, okay, I'm going to match this resume to those keywords. But if I get rejected from that resume is going to it's going to be kept in the database, and it may not match something that I really like down the road if something were to open up. How do you make it general enough, but also specific enough for something right now?
You can always reapply for another job down the road. Let's say you have different versions of your resume, although it may not look the best if you have 5 versions of your resume in the system. But I just want to point out that Monster's, getting to your point, like you graduated and you want to look for a job. Monster's mid-year jobs report shows the top cities hiring So if you're looking for a job and you want to go where the jobs are, think about relocating. Sorry, I said that weird. But New York, Houston, Chicago, Atlanta, and then 2 surprising ones emerged for the first time, which were St. Louis and Charlotte.
Oh, interesting.
So if you're
Lower
looking for
cost
a job-
markets too.
Yeah. So I would go where the jobs are.
Okay.
Awesome.
Something to think about.
Vicki,
Yeah.
great advice. Thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you
us.
for coming.
Thanks.
Yep.